rolling?
We're rolling.
Excellent. We're here at Jazz Live San Diego with Ernie Watts. Ernie, it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome to Jazz Live San Diego.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Excellent. Can you start by telling us about the band that you've got playing with you tonight?
Yeah, we've been playing together for, wow, quite a while. David Witham is playing piano, and he's been playing with everybody. He's played with George Benson and Lee Ritenour and a lot of different great players. And then on bass is Bruce Lett, and he's a wonderful player. Then all of these people I've been playing with for like at least 20 years. Bob Leatherbarrow, the drummer, I've been playing with probably the longest. I think Bob and I have been playing for almost 30 years together. We started playing at a little club in the Valley in L.A. called Dante's many years ago.
Right.
So we've all played together for quite a while. And we've done several recordings together for our CD company also.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Then in 2004, after almost 35 years of playing with various groups and guesting on a full spectrum of music, you, along with your wife, set up Flying Dolphin Records.
That's right, Patricia and I did.
And you settled into working almost exclusively, maybe not exclusively, with American and your American and European groups.
That's right.
And that led to, this great run of albums, I should say, 4+4 in 2009, To The Point in 2008, Spirit Song 2005, and Analog
The
Man.
original one was called Alive also, and Analog Man.
And that Analog Man was the winner of the Independent Music Award for
That's
Best
right.
Jazz Album.
That's right.
And then your latest release in 2011, Oasis. That's
Right.
that's quite a run. How has this kind of new working relationship or this new arrangement with your record company and focus on a certain group of people, how has that been for you in your artistry?
Well, it's been the perfect thing for me because I've been needing to play my own music with people that I really love to play with, and to do the compositions the way that I want to do them and not have to be tied down by any kind of time restrictions and production restrictions. So it's just been a very, very wonderful opportunity to play music to the best of my ability, to my highest abilities.
Mm-hmm. And on that 2011 release, Oasis, was there anything in particular you were working on that release, or was it just kind of continuing that vein of?
It's just continuing. It's an ever continuing journey to play the best possible music that I can at all times, and to play my instrument on the highest level that I possibly can at all times.
Yeah. So that must have been a real refreshing change then, because you, maybe you can tell us some of the challenges that you had as a musician who is well known for playing on lots of other people's albums and guesting and doing things like that. What were some of the challenges that you faced in doing that? And I don't even know if compromises in your work is the right way to put it, but things that you had to do that that just you didn't like.
Well, it wasn't that I didn't like anything. Everything I did I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I did was part of a growth process, and it was part of a process of learning to play, learning about the music business, learning about myself, and you have chapters in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point in your life, at a certain point in my life, I got to the place where it was time for me to do what I felt I needed to do. I tell people for the first 40 years of my life, I did what everybody else wanted me to do their way.
Right.
And for the next 40 years of my life, I'm doing what I want to do my way. And when I get 80 years old, I'm going to have a meeting with myself, and then decide what to do after that.
Which direction to go?
Yeah.
Now that you've tried out both of those.
Yeah, and that's life. Life is experiential.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't read about it in a book. You can read about other people's lives in a book, and you can learn about things. You can learn about mistakes maybe not to make and those kind of things, but life is experiential. You have to live it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. We're living it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how you got to this point. And as I was reading, it seemed like music was not a really big part of your life as you were growing up, but that as you got to kind of end of high school and college, that you really kind of turned on to music. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started playing music and how jazz came into that?
I got turned on to music much earlier than college.
Mm-hmm.
I started in junior high. I started in grade 7 when I was 13 years old.
Really?
And so my family, my folks were not in music, so they didn't really know how to direct my energy. But I just started as part of the school program. You know, I was with a friend of mine. He wanted to play the saxophone. I was with him. I figured I'd try trombone because I think I'd seen the Glenn Miller story on TV or something like that, and I figured trombone would be fun. So we went to the school music department, and my friend got a saxophone, and they were all out of trombones. So the teacher gave me a baritone saxophone because I was tall for my age, and he figured I could carry it in marching band. So that's how I got started on the saxophone. But what happened was, you know, I got very interested in it. I started studying and practicing at home and studying with the teacher at the school. Oh, a few months later, the school got an alto, and I started playing the alto because the school teacher noticed that my right arm was about 4 inches longer than my left arm from carrying the baritone back and forth to school. So anyway, I started playing alto. The school did not have any kind of a jazz program, so I learned the classical repertoire for the saxophone. And at the same time I was practicing and studying and learning about the classical repertoire for the saxophone, I started learning to play jazz by ear. I had a neighbor that had a wonderful jazz collection. He heard me practicing. You know, I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware. And Wilmington, Delaware, and Baltimore, and Philadelphia, in that area, a lot of the neighborhoods, the houses are in rows. So my next door neighbor could hear me practicing, you know. So he started to lend me records. So the first record I remember hearing, the first jazz record I remember hearing that was very, very promising to me was a Dave Brubeck album called Jazz Goes to College. And I heard Paul Desmond. And so I could listen to Paul Desmond and I could play his things along with the record. So that was very encouraging. I kept studying, I kept playing the classical music and learning to play by ear jazz. My mother joined the Columbia Record Club one Christmas, and she bought me a little record player from Sears, the Sears catalog. They used to have this wonderful music selection section with a catalog called Silvertone. So she bought me this little Silvertone record player with a speaker that came off so that made it stereo, and she joined the Columbia Record Club. And the first jazz record I got that they sent my mom, because you know, you join the record club and the first one you got was free, right? And the first album I got was a Miles Davis album called Kind of Blue. So, you know, you jazz historians can, you will know what year that was, you know. And that's when I really got going. I heard everybody on that album, and then I heard John Coltrane, and it totally flipped me out, you know. And from that point on, all I really wanted to do was listen to John Coltrane and play like John Coltrane.
So then you studied for a year or two at Berkeley College of Music.
After I graduated from high school, I went to the Westchester Teachers College in Pennsylvania, and it didn't work out for me very well, so I dropped out. And then while I was out of school, I auditioned for the Downbeat Scholarship to Berkeley, and I won a scholarship to the Berkeley School, and that's when I went to Berkeley.
and you were there for a couple of years, but
Yeah,
then jumped
year and
ship
a
to go with Buddy Rich.
Yeah, then I was asked to join Buddy Rich.
And was Buddy Rich Band your first kind of big professional gig?
Yeah, that was my first big full-time on-the-road band. Before then, you know, I was doing clubs and doing concerts and, you know, summer jobs at Rehoboth Beach or in Atlantic City, places like that. So I was playing, but Buddy's band was the first band that was a full-time traveling working band for me.
And you eventually made your way to the West Coast, and for someone who grew up on the East Coast and was playing jazz, what was it about the West Coast that was a big draw when, you know, a lot of stuff seems to center around New York City?
Well, I always wanted to live in New York, and then traveling with Buddy, I traveled all around. One summer, Buddy had a show that was a replacement for the Jackie Gleason show, and it was a 13-week summer replacement show. So I was in LA for 13 weeks. And that's when I got used to being in LA, and I started doing some rehearsal bands and different things and meeting different players in town. I think the thing that I really liked the most, though, was the feeling of space. You know, I grew up in the East. I was planning on moving to New York, and it was just so congested and so crowded that when I came out to California, just the feeling of space and seeing the sky and the mountains and the whole atmosphere in California just really agreed a lot more with what I felt comfortable with, you know,
Right.
for life. It seemed like just a better place to live.
Well, I imagine too then that being in Los Angeles, in, you know, this kind of center of entertainment, then kind of led to, you know, that one of those hallmarks of your career is playing on, you know, lots of various genres of music and
Well, I
with
moved
lots
here,
of different things. Yeah.
I moved here at a time where there were a lot of things going on, and there was so much work for some people that they needed a substitute for different things. So I started out as a sub, working for different people like Bill Green and Buddy Collette and Jackie Kelso, and subbing for different people. And then from substituting for different people, I started to get my own calls. And I had no idea what studio work was. You know, when I first came to LA, I figured, you know, I'd come to LA because I really liked the way it lit. I liked the lifestyle, and then maybe I'd get a job with another band and keep playing. You know, and then the studio thing sort of happened. You know, it happened because I learned to play a lot of instruments. You know, like when I was in high school, I taught myself to play the clarinet and the flute. When I went to the Berklee School of Music, my teacher there, Joe Viola, he taught me the oboe and how to make oboe reeds. So from that, I kind of started accumulating different instruments, you know, piccolo, alto flute, you know, bass clarinet, and from the oboe, English horn. So when I came to LA, I was playing quite a few instruments. So I did quite a bit of work as a doubler. You know, I came to LA in 1968, and it was about the time that Motown was moving from Detroit to California. And I started doing a lot of work for Motown in sections and things, and, you know, met Marvin Gaye and all of the people at Motown. You know.
Yeah, and I was looking through on allmusic.com your the credits list under your entry, and I saw a lot of it recently, a lot of reissues of things like the Beach Boys, and you know, that are out that you were playing on, and do you keep up on the, you know, how those original kind of discs that you were recording on years ago are coming back out? And,
well, you know, when I was doing it, that's what we were doing. That was our job. It was our work. We got up in the morning and we went to the studio and we worked with the Temptations or the Commodores or the Beach Boys or Diana Ross or everybody, Barbra Streisand, and that's what we did, you know. And now that you know, that the time has gone by, it's just amazing that all of these things have become classics. you know, and I'm going, oh wow, those are classic recordings, you know, the things of Carole King and different things, and it was just like when we were doing it, it's just we were going to do it.
Going to work, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot different now for musicians musicians now.
Mhm.
I wanted to touch on future projects, and I know that you're still active with your record company, Flying Dolphin Records.
That's
And
right.
are you, you know, personally, do you have any new material out, or how is the record company doing?
We're just finishing a new CD now, and in fact we're going to be mixing and mastering next week, and so it'll be a new CD for Flying Dolphin, and it's going to be called A Simple Truth.
Well, we look forward to hearing that and playing that here at Jazz 88.
Great.
Ernie, is there a place on the internet where people can find out more information about you?
Well, we do have our website, and that's erniewatts.com, and you go in there, and there's way, way more than you ever wanted to know about me.
Well, hopefully we added just a little bit to that today. Ernie, it's a great pleasure and honor to have you here at Jazz Live San Diego. Thanks for being here.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
Great, Ernie. While I have you in the chair, I just want to get a quick ID from you.
Sure.
Thank you. Let me get that piece of paper.